Hello, I'm Sheila, the Grateful Goddess, and I have the pleasure of having with me Phoebe Jenkins. She is a health coach, a yoga and fitness instructor, as well as a licensed massage therapist. So I'd love to start with you just talking about how you came into health and wellness. Was there a pivotal moment that got your interest in it, or how did it all come about?
So I never remember a specific pivotal moment. However, when I was young, like 8-10 years old, I remember going into town and seeing young kids that were overweight and looked to me in my 8-year-old eyes depressed. And I remember I would see them and think, oh, if only they knew that life could be so fun and so rewarding and they could feel so good. And I had, as my young self, this vision that I was going to create a place for kids to get healthy.
Wow,
Yeah.
That is really impressive to have the vision at such a young age.
Yeah, and it wasn't necessarily like I grew into this passion for it. Like I went on this dance trajectory and all these other things, and then, stumbled across the Institute for Integrative Nutrition and health coaching and all those things. And I haven't really been working full-heartedly with kids, but from that young moment, that was when I remembered caring so much about helping other people with health.
Right.
And then having a healthy family has really helped as well, keeping me on that line of motivation. And then just life kind of putting the right things in my life at the right time.
Right. I would interject that you probably are helping a lot more children than you realize by helping the parents. Because once the parents learn these skills, they're going to pass them along to their children. And so to me, it is so vitally important, and it comes from either direction. Either the kids can sometimes impact their parents by asking them to quit smoking or something, or whatever, and that can work. But more often than not, children will follow in their parents' footsteps. And so when you can teach the parents or even the adults before becoming parents how to eat better, healthier, do the things that they need for mind, body, spirit health, I think you're making a much greater impact than you probably think.
That's such a good point. I didn't even I'm like, I'm just not working with kids, but that's true. It ripples down the line.
Yes, yeah. So what do you find as people's biggest struggling point? What keeps them from living the healthy lifestyle that they desire?
The first thing that pops in my mind is an addiction to old habits and not the willingness to change. I think a lot of people know what they need to be doing, they want to make the changes, and somehow they feel like getting from place A to B is so hard that they're not willing to even make that little bit of effort. I feel like that's the biggest challenge that I see and that I feel people have.
And so they respond best with the guidance or the accountability, or what aspect of your work helps them over that barrier?
They have to pay for it, so there's accountability.
Yes.
They have to show up to a session and report what they have or have not done, so there's that accountability as well. And then there's also, I think, in people's minds, this idea that going from point A to B is such a great effort, but with some coaching and guidance, they can realize that it's not as big of a deal as they think.
Yeah.
So I think there's that, putting it into a new perspective and then holding them accountable, that really helps.
I think oftentimes they see it very black and white also.
Yeah.
I can either do this and I'm going to sacrifice all these other things and I have to give up everything that I love. Or, it's actually there's a lot of middle ground between this black and white view.
Definitely, exactly.
Yeah. Tell me about the dance, because that's kind of a fascinating aspect of bringing in the personal development aspect.
Yeah. So when I was young, I used to do ballet and some jazz and some belly dance. And then I went to undergrad for modern dance. And then I went to New York City and worked with a dance organization, doing their events and admin and helping with a lot of their classes. And just kind of continued to love dance and dancing. And it has been a hobby and never a profession, which is really nice. It's never been something that I felt that I have to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's just been something I've loved to do.
Yeah.
And now dance is, I think, more prevalent in my yoga and my acro yoga.
Yes.
And here and there taking classes. But now I'm really focused on my business.
Right. And you said earlier the fun aspect, and I think that it's like finding whatever is fun for people. I mean, as acro yogis, we really gravitate towards that fun.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was just having a conversation today with a client who was saying that she just can't stick to a workout, and we were having a conversation about, well, what does a workout mean? Does it mean just lifting a weight, or does it mean moving your body in a fun way?
Mm-hmm.
And kind of getting her to redefine what that looks like for her. And it was,
Yeah.
it was a little bit of a light bulb for her. She was like, oh yeah, I guess I can do that. That works my body. That's still fun, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. There's definitely and I'm not, I don't do a lot of health coaching, but I do help people recognize that the mind shift is so important. And even using the word exercise, I don't use exercise because there's generally a connotation of I have to and I don't want to.
Yeah, that's great.
Versus joyful movement. Like, find whatever you do love, because we're all different. Different things are gonna light us up. Find whatever it is, even if it's gardening is still a form of, actual
Yeah.
movement that's going to help improve their
Right. Dog walking at the Humane Society, hula hooping, acro yoga, and gardening. Like, there's so many things that and we can all do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So your passions run very broad and deep, and so like you're also currently helping train a dog in being a service dog. And so how do you balance all the multifacets? Because I find that so many of us have so many different passions and we live them all out. How do you balance them to not overdo?
Yeah. So I would say about 6 years ago, I did a lot of work like with the Franklin Covey planning method system, and kind of getting my own brain and my own energies wrapped around how to organize my time efficiently so that I could have an equal balance of fun, of work, of family time, of all these different components that were really important to me. So I worked a lot, very hard with time management and planning. And I would say I pushed it to the extreme for a little while, which was good, and then I backed it off to a healthy balance. So one way that I manage with those is with keeping a calendar and having time management and planning and prioritizing. That's a big thing, is knowing what I want and what I'm going to let go of. And then I also try not to let my energies get taken by other things. So I know what my hobbies are, what my fun things are. I know what my work things are. I know what they need to do. And then I try to not get pulled off my kind of focus by random life things that come in.
Yeah.
And I think when those do come in, it does spin me off into chaos and feeling overwhelmed, because I do have a lot on my plate, which is all good stuff.
Yes.
But it's definitely a focus and a prioritizing.
So you needed to learn to say no to things that were requests, and
Definitely.
check in with yourself as to whether you felt drawn and pulled to it or felt obligated, which never feels as good.
Definitely. Exactly.
Yeah.
Even down to a running into someone on the street, and doesn't need to be a 30-second conversation or a 20-minute conversation. You know? It's like 20 minutes you can do a lot with.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. I do a similar process, and also spent years with the Covey system, but it's, in really enhancing it is making sure that it isn't just for business purposes, but for all the things that are most important in life, because your family and your relationships and all of that has a high priority for us.
Definitely. Yeah. And if I don't plan those in, then I feel awful. And then it's not worth anything.
Yeah.
Anything else I'm putting energy to is not worth it.
You also have a recipe book.
I do. Yeah, I have a recipe book that has really easy recipes. They're mostly about 20 to 30 minutes making, preparing, cooking. Most of them are whole foods based and plant based. There are a few non-vegetarian recipes in there. And it also has some healthy living tips.
Nice.
Yeah.
Because I do hear that a lot. It's even though they're so inundated with so many sources of information in terms of what to eat and how to eat, it's really not, it's needing a trusted source, somebody who is living the lifestyle they'd like to live, so that they're following their recipes rather than, you know, Facebook having a million different
Right.
recipes, and some of them are like scary,
Right.
not healthy.
Yeah, even though it says it's like low fat or vegan, like it doesn't even mean it's healthy necessarily. They're just crazy, or like fried donut, quick
Right.
meal or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, you know, even you saying low fat, that was such a huge misnomer for people that, you know, and I'm hoping people are over that misunderstanding.
Yeah.
Do you want to speak to that at all?
Yeah, I'm hoping people are over it too, but there was definitely a time period where a lot of clients were coming in and saying, well, I'm eating all low-fat foods, but I'm not losing weight. What's going on? And it was a lot of time educating my clients and general public that a lot of low-fat foods are filled with sugars and salt and other fillers to help them taste better when you take the fat out, and that we actually need healthy fats. And the same thing with vegan. A lot of time vegan foods are filled with a lot of sugar or a lot of excess grains that we don't need, or a lot of excess salt. And whole foods is a lot better than a processed food with fillers just to make a label or a special diet fit.
Right. Well, thank you, my dear.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
You're so